Good afternoon, everyone. I am the co-founder of 5 Times More. My name is Clotilde Rebecca Abbey, and we've got Tinuke here as well.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Tinuke, and I am the co-founder of the 5 Times More campaign as well.
Okay, Tinuke, do you want to say how we started the 5 Times More campaign?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to go into it. So how did we start the 5 Times More campaign? We get asked this question a lot, which is great. Basically, I've got 2 children, right? I've got a boy and a girl. I gave birth to my son 3 years ago, and my daughter is 4 months old. So I gave birth to her in April, slap bang in the middle of the pandemic. And, basically, I say that because I had 2 very, very different experiences. The first time round wasn't as positive. It was quite a negative experience, and I'll go into that. But the second one, despite being in the middle of the pandemic and, a lot of anxiety and just everything going on, I managed to have a really, really positive birthing experience. So I've got something to at least compare and contrast it to. Now, why I started 5 Times More and why my birth experience with my son wasn't as positive. First of all, my preeclampsia was diagnosed quite late. I had all sorts happening in my pregnancy with my son, including sciatica, just anything you can think of, low iron, I was anemic, you name it, I had it. But in terms of my preeclampsia being diagnosed late, so I was showing signs of high blood pressure, from I'd say midway through my pregnancy, and I had protein in my urine from then on as well. However, it wasn't until the end of my pregnancy with my son that I went to a midwife appointment, and the midwife was very shocked. She was like, look, I'm quite worried about you. You're showing signs of preeclampsia. You need to get over to the hospital quick. Don't even go home. Don't even go and get your hospital bag. Just go straight to the hospital. So, of course, it's my first time. I'm really worried. I just don't know what to expect. I've just gone to the hospital and they've said, look, we need to induce you. We need to get this baby out straight away because baby's heart rate is dropping and the signs are just not looking good. So I was induced, and the midwife that I had on the day, she told me that, right, it's going to take at least 24 hours for the hormones to kick in. So I'm there, don't really know what to expect. I've never been through labor before, of course. So a couple of hours later, when I started feeling a few pains, what I now know to be contractions, obviously now I've had my second, but I was contracting a lot, and it was quite painful. So I'd asked the midwife to check me over, and she refused. She said that, it's probably just early stages of labor. I was basically dismissed. And this continued for hours. I was literally bent over double. I was in pain. I was vomiting. It's my son. I was vomiting. I was in a lot of pain. It was terrible. It was awful. And all throughout, the midwife refused to check me. She wouldn't check me. It wasn't until my waters had broke that she then checked me over, and she realized that, wow, I was 8 centimeters gone. Checked baby's heart rate was dropping. And then that was when the emergency button was pressed. I was rushed into the delivery room, and everything was just all over the place. And I feel like that could have been avoided if I was just listened to in the first place. So when it came to time to push, I actually couldn't push. I physically couldn't push because I was that tired. The window for pain relief was missed, so I wasn't offered any pain relief. I literally had to, and on top of that, my son was back to back. So it was just awful. It was awful, right? They eventually had to use assisted delivery. They had to use a ventouse to help get his head out because I couldn't push. I was that tired. I literally just couldn't push. So for me, that was quite a negative experience. And I say that because, again, I just felt like I wasn't listened to. I felt like, well, if you would have just checked me over in the first place, I think a lot of what happened to me could have been avoided. And I run a mothers group called Mums and Tea for Black women. Black mothers, new mums. We all come together and we just have fun. We go out, we have social events. It's a lovely time, right? But the more I spoke to the mothers in my community, the more I realized that my experience wasn't an isolated one. A lot of Black women, again, felt like they weren't listened to. A lot of Black women, the window of opportunity belief was missed for a lot of Black women. You know, I guess for me, I had an assisted delivery, which isn't too bad, but a lot of other women, emergency C-sections and other things that, again, are avoidable, right? They've had traumatic experiences where they really just don't need to have been. So I say all of that to arrive to this point. In 2018, the next year after I gave birth, when the Embrace report came out, I was so shocked, but I wasn't surprised because of everything that I heard before from all the other women. So what I did was I started doing my research, right? I was like, whoa, I've never heard of this before. I didn't know this existed. How long has this been going on for? What is this? What does this mean, right? And the more I started doing my research, the more I realized that this isn't new in the health professional space. This has actually been going on for decades. And I'll put it into context, right? So when I was looking through the previous reports, they weren't called Embrace. I think they've got another name, but it's essentially the same thing. I saw that back in 1991, and I'm showing my age here, but back in 1991, when my mum gave birth to me, as a Black woman, she was at higher risk. But I think at the time there wasn't any previous data collected, so they couldn't say to what number, to what percentage, rather. And then as you look through the years and through the reports, you see that number steadily rising and going higher and higher and higher till you get to 2018, and it's 5 times more. And I was perplexed. I was shocked. I was like, surely this isn't right. Black women only account for 4% of births, but are 5 times more likely to die. I just didn't understand. So what I did, I joined forces with my beautiful co-founder here, Rebecca. She runs Prosperities, which is a social enterprise supporting Black and South Asian pregnant women. And I was like, look, I've got this network. You've got these links with what you do. Why don't we join together? Why don't we join forces and create something to get people's attention? And, you know, let's just create a campaign and scream and shout about this, because this is wrong. I have friends who are yet to give birth. I have sisters, you know, I've just had a daughter. If things are going on the way they have been, will she be 15, 20, 25 times more likely to die by the time it's time for her to give birth? You know, so that's how the campaign came about. And I think Rebecca's going to answer some questions on what we hope to achieve and that kind of thing.
So in terms of what we would like to achieve, we want the outcomes to change, which is obvious. That's what we want to achieve. We also want to educate women and make them know their rights. We want to also educate professionals. It might sound silly, but some of the professionals that I've spoken to about the statistics, they didn't know about it. They didn't know Black women 5 times more likely to die. They didn't know it was happening since 1991, which to me is a bit shocking as a professional. When you do your training, did it not come up? What happened? What went wrong? Also, we would like to change the medical curriculum, and that's also to do with making more awareness. There's certain condition and complications that might look a certain way on a white woman and look very different on a Black woman. How do we now train medical professionals to understand these? Even midwives as well, how do we get them to understand them? Student midwives, anyone who deals with pregnant women, they all need to be able to see the signs and know what to do. Also, we want policies to change in terms, so we know we're going to start doing continuity of care, but how's that going to happen? If, say for instance, I'm pregnant and I have a midwife, but me and the midwife don't get along, but she's my midwife throughout my whole pregnancy. How do we now make sure that I'm safe and I feel safe, and that the midwife also feels safe, because we also have to protect the health professional as well as the pregnant women. We also want to empower women. We want women to not be scared of these statistics. I talk to a lot of pregnant women and they are scared. We don't want to scare them because it is still a safe place to give birth. But how do we make them aware that it's not a scary place. London, or the UK actually, is not a scary place to give birth. You know, it's one of the safest places to give birth. Also, on our journey to starting 5 times more, we discovered, we came across, things that we came across during our discovery. Oh my gosh, cut that bit out. What we discovered as part of the process was the statistics was not new. Like I mentioned before, we thought it started in 2018. No, it hasn't. Like Tinuke said, it just wasn't called Embrace. We realized that a lot of women didn't know their right. So simple things like you are allowed to change your midwives. Women didn't know that. Women didn't know they can choose where to birth and how to birth. I found out that a lot of women wasn't given birth options. So it was, you're going to give birth at the hospital. They wasn't told when you're at the hospital, you can have a home from home birth, you can birth in a birthing center, you can have a water birth, you can have a home birth. I think I mentioned it already. They wasn't told. I wasn't told. I got 2 boys. I wasn't told that I was allowed to have a water birth. Not once was it mentioned. Also, yeah, so that's it. Tinuke, do you want to talk about how people can get involved?
Of course. So thank you for that. And it's weird hearing you say this about the campaign, because it's like, wow, like 5 times more is actually, you know, we're doing quite a lot, which is amazing. How else can people get involved, right? We ask people to write to their MPs as a follow-on from the petition that we launched. So just to go back, actually, let's go back a few steps. When we talk about the 5 times more and what we have already achieved, well, a few months ago, we actually had a petition which basically went viral. We launched it asking the government to improve outcomes for Black women when it comes to maternal health. And it was, I mean, to date, we've got, I think, about 187,000 signatures.
Yeah.
About that, which is amazing, and we're still waiting for a date for a debate from the government. But again, it's just trying to increase awareness. So as a follow-on from that, we asked people to write to their petition. We asked people to write to their MPs, because the response that we've got from the government, whilst they have committed to research, which is amazing, very welcomed. We'd like to go a step further outside of continuity of care, because we believe, although it's a fantastic model, it's not the only thing, and it's not immediate, because that's part of their long-term plan, and we want something, you know, for now. So what we ask people to do is to write to their MPs. There's a template letter on our website, which I'll give you more details about in a second. We also ask people to sign the petition. The petition is still going, so it's improve outcomes for Black women in maternal healthcare. We ask people to take our 5 times more selfie. So with the 5 times more selfie, again, the campaign is just about raising awareness, making sure we're having these discussions. So we literally ask people to take a selfie on social media like this, with their 5 fingers up like a stop sign, and hashtagging 5x more, so that, you know, we can highlight this statistic, but also highlight the 5 plus our bonus step recommendations that we give to Black women. Well, to all women, but specifically for Black women, because they are obviously the ones that are more at risk. And our 6 steps are: number 1, speak out. If you feel like something isn't right, if you feel like, you know, you've got questions or something, you just don't understand something, speak up, right? We've got the second one, which is to have an advocate for you. So that's somebody who can speak up when you can't speak, basically. This could be a trusted member of your family, a friend, a partner, somebody who can literally advocate for you, who's clued up about pregnancy, labor, childbirth, who's clued up about everything. The third one we ask people to do is to seek a second opinion. As Chloe mentioned before, a lot of people don't know that they can actually change their midwife or their doctor if they feel like they're not getting a great standard of care, or if they're just not happy with their midwives. So you can ask for a second opinion. What am I on? Number 4?
Yeah.
One we ask people to do is to trust their gut. And what we mean when we say that is that actually nobody knows your body better than you. So if you feel like you're in pain, if you feel like something just isn't quite right, trust your gut and speak up. Those two go hand in hand. The fifth one that we've got is to ask women to do their research via trusted websites. So we've got NHS, we've got NICE, we've got Patient, we've got WH. So do your research via trusted websites about pregnancy, labour and childbirth so you know what to expect. And the sixth bonus step that we have recently added to our recommendations are document everything. So that means getting the midwives and the doctors to make sure that they are documenting everything in your maternity notes, and also to go a step further for the pregnant women to make sure they're also keeping a diary of their own with their own notes of what they understand to be happening, and just to document everything basically. So those are our 6 steps. We ask people to continue spreading the word and going on our website, www.5xmore.com, for more information, where we've got information on our blog, we've got information on everything that we're doing, basically. And also, just to go back on, what we've done and what we've achieved, we've recently actually teamed up with a Positive Birth company to offer Black women, 100 Black women every month, access to their free hypnobirthing. Again, their hypnobirthing outcomes really aligns with our 5 steps, empowering women to listen to their bodies and to speak. So that's why we thought it was worthwhile partnering up with them to offer this service for Black women. So we are definitely trying to affect change on all different levels. We're trying to affect change for women, the service users, people like myself, people like Chloe, who have been through the system, who will potentially go through it again, God willing. So we've got, mothers who are helping. We're trying to help spread the word between midwives, health professionals, students, doctors, whoever it is. And we're also trying to affect change at the government level. If we can get, legislation changed, or we can change policies with the NHS or something like that, we're really trying to work hard to make sure that this just isn't a thing. This statistic doesn't exist anymore, because I feel like enough is enough.
So overall, I'm just going to sum up what 5 Times More is. So 5 Times More is a campaign that highlights the disparities in maternity outcomes for Black women in the UK. While maternity mortality globally is quite low, in the UK, it's still a safe place to give birth. So it's still okay to give birth in the UK. We came up with these statistics because of the Embrace report. So if you want to find out more, you can go on the Embrace report, where you find out more details on why Black women are 5 times more likely to die than white women. With 5 Times More, we do not want to scare women. We want to empower women. And like Tinuke said, that's where we came out with our 6 steps now. Also, we want this to be a long-lasting effect. So with 5 Times More, even if the statistics do go down to 2 times more or 3 times more, we want this to carry on. We want to still carry on raising awareness and making sure that they never go back up. Because we say Black women are 5 times more, but Asian women are 2 times more likely, and mixed ethnicity women are 3 times more likely. So all that still has to change. Okay, and other ways you can support us is by our social media. So we've got our website, which Tinuke said, which is www.5xmore.com, but we also got our Instagram and our Twitter, which is 5xmore. Thank you.